Today, I want to talk about something that has been bothering me for a very long time. You know, for generations, the playbook was simple, right? Get a college degree and you'll get a good job. But today's graduates are walking into a totally bizarre and frankly pretty terrifying new world. We're calling it the Great Graduate Contradiction. And it all boils down to this one really scary question that's keeping a lot of people up at night. Is that piece of paper you invest a fortune and 4 years of your life to get? Is it a golden ticket or is it a trap? Because let me tell you, the data we're seeing suggests the game has completely changed. Let's just start with one number. Just 1.58%. That was the unemployment rate for recent US college grads in March 2025. Now, you might think, okay, what does that mean? Well, get this. For the first time in modern history, that number is actually higher than the national average unemployment rate for everyone. Think about that. The very thing that was supposed to be your safety net isn't. So how on earth did we get here? What is going on? Well, it's not just one thing. It's like a perfect storm. We're calling it the graduate quadruple threat. Okay, so let's unpack these four forces. First, you've got tuition costs that have been skyrocketing for years. We all know that. Then you've got wages that are basically flat when you account for inflation. And then, and this is the big one, you drop generative AI right into the middle of it, just gobbling up all those classic entry-level jobs. And you top it all off with a global cost of living crisis where just paying rent is a nightmare. All four of these things are hitting at the exact same time. It's a brutal combination. And this is where it gets really confusing, right? This is the paradox. Because look, a degree does still protect you. I mean, look at these UK numbers. You're way more likely to have a job with a degree than without one. That's a fact. But, and this is the huge but, the kind of job you get, the salary you start with, the return on that massive investment, that's what's crumbling. The whole financial logic is starting to fall apart, and you can literally watch this happen in real time. Just look at the hiring projections for the class of 2025. Companies started out optimistic, right? They thought they were going to hire over 7% more grads. Then a few months later, boom, that number collapses all the way down to almost zero growth, 0.6%. You have to ask yourself, what happened in those few months? The answer's pretty clear. AI went mainstream in the office. So yeah, let's talk about the elephant in the room. AI. This isn't some sci-fi movie thing that's coming soon. It's here. And it's basically become the new gatekeeper for a lot of entry-level careers. So how exactly is AI doing this? Well, it's pretty simple, actually. It's about efficiency. The average worker using Gen AI is saving about 5.5% of their week. That's a couple of hours every single week. Now, multiply that across an entire company. If all your current employees just got that much more productive, well, you just don't need to hire as many junior people to do the basic stuff anymore. The need just disappears. You can see it right here. AI use in companies shoots up to almost 80%. And what happens at the same time? Grad unemployment goes up, hiring plans go down. But honestly, the most important number on this whole slide is that last one. 60% of hiring managers are now looking at alternative credentials. That's huge. It's a vote of no confidence in the traditional 4-year degree as the be-all and end-all. So what you're seeing is the job market is basically splitting. On one side, you've got these super high-end tech and AI jobs that require really specialized skills. On the complete other side, you have essential human-centric jobs that are really hard to automate. Think nurses, plumbers, social workers. And the person with a general purpose degree is stuck in this collapsing middle. It's a really dangerous place to be right now. All right, so we've talked about the AI tidal wave, but what about the other monster in the room? The insane student debt? Well, you might think you know this story, but I bet you don't. The real driver behind the debt isn't what most people think it is. This is one of those stats that just makes your jaw drop. When you look at the total cost of a public college, the actual tuition and fees, that's less than 40% of the bill, more than 60%. The majority is just the cost of living, housing, food, books, just staying alive while you study. So this isn't just a tuition crisis, it's really a cost of living crisis hitting students harder than anyone. And hey, this isn't just happening in the US. Take a look at England. Average grad debt shot up by 10% in just 1 year. That's a massive jump. And why? It's not because tuition went crazy. It's because students had to borrow more just to pay rent and buy groceries. And this is where it becomes a really nasty trap, a vicious cycle, because you have to pay for your crazy high rent. You have to work, say 20 hours a week at a coffee shop. Well, guess what you're not doing during those 20 hours? You're not doing that crucial internship. You're not building a portfolio. You're not learning the skills that actually get you a job. So the very thing you need to do to survive, work, is actually making you less employable when you graduate. It's a brutal catch-22. Okay, so the job market is moving at light speed. The financial model is busted. So the obvious question is, why aren't the universities just keeping up? And the simple, kind of sad answer is, they're just not built to. You have to understand this one concept, the half-life of a skill. Basically, it's how long it takes for something you learn to be only half as valuable. In the world of AI, the half-life of a technical skill is estimated to be about 2 years. 2 years. So a cutting-edge skill you learn as a freshman, by the time you're a junior, is already on its way to being obsolete. How can a 4-year degree, which takes forever to design and approve, possibly keep up with that? And these institutions are just tangled up in red tape. They have funding problems. Getting a new course approved can take years, literally years. And there's this huge gap between what they teach and what companies actually need. I mean, when more than 7 out of 10 tech leaders are saying, hey, your grads don't have the skills we need, you know, there's a major disconnect. Okay, I know this all sounds incredibly grim, and it is, but it's not hopeless. There's a new path forward, a new playbook that's starting to emerge. And it's all about a really simple shift, focusing on what you can do, not just where you went to school. It's skills over diplomas. And this isn't just wishful thinking. The hiring data is crystal clear. Look at this. 2/3 of companies are now using skills-based hiring. They're giving you a task and saying, show me you can do this. And your GPA? Fewer than 40% of employers are even looking at it anymore. I'm telling you, the rules of the game have fallen, fundamentally changed. So, if that's the new game, how do you win? Well, one of the biggest answers is something called micro-credentials. Think of them as these small, super-focused certifications. Instead of spending 4 years learning a bit of everything, you spend a few weeks getting really good at one specific high-demand skill, like data analytics or prompt engineering. They're fast, they're relevant, and they prove you can do the job today. So let's get practical. What's the new playbook look like? Here it is, step by step. First, you figure out what skills companies are actually desperate for. Second, you go get those agile micro-credentials. Third, and this is key, you actually use those skills in hands-on projects. And finally, you put it all into a portfolio that you can show to an employer and say, look what I can build. That is how you stand out now. And look, we need to be clear about why this is so urgent. Right now, nearly 1 in 4 bachelor's degree programs in the US have a negative return on investment. Let that sink in. You graduate poorer than when you started. So picking the wrong major or the wrong school isn't just a bummer, it can be a life-altering financial mistake. The path forward demands radical institutional agility. The old, slow, rigid model is just not working anymore. Small tweaks aren't going to fix it. The whole system needs a fundamental rethink. And so that leaves us with this massive open question for the future. In an age of AI, when the world changes every 2 years, what is a university for? What should it look like when hands-on skills are more valuable than a lecture and speed is more important than a centuries-old tradition? Figuring that out? Well, that's the great challenge and maybe the great opportunity for all of us. Thank you for listening. I hope you found this useful. Till next time, this is Nasia. Stay connected.